Our nation's capital. How are we doing? Wow, you guys have had your coffee this morning. This is...
I'd like to point out that the dude with the big forehead has a light on it, and you don't. What is going on here? What are y'all doing to me?
My whole section's off over here. Yeah.
That was a request from the fans.
It was. They were like, light Jared up. We don't need to see Jensen. It's fine. It's fine. How's everybody? This beautiful Sunday morning. Super stoked to be here. It's really nice to see all your faces, finally.
I know!
This is nice.
But now we can't do like, you in the mask. I guess there are a few masks.
Cut to a week from now going, super spreader event happened a week ago. No, fingers crossed. Everybody stay healthy, everybody stay healthy.
Yeah, y'all feeling good?
Yeah.
Anything fun last night?
Good concert? Yeah. Sorry we couldn't make it. We were busy storming the Capitol. We did a very cool tour last night.
Awesome, like horror movie tour, because we were the only people there, us and our guy. So
we got the night shift, folks.
Yeah, we walked along and then woke up this morning, and if there was ever any question whether or not your phone knows where you are and is listening, the first thing that pops up when I wake up is like, man drives through barricade at the Capitol. And car, and I was like,
Did you guys hear about this? Literally happened, I think, what, 3 hours after we left?
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
But still, can't take the Winchesters down, man.
Soldier Boy.
And or Soldier Boy.
Yeah, and or Walker, and or like, look, take your pick. It's gonna be a bad day for you.
All right. Well, without further ado, I've seen you waving at the end. Yes. You've been pretty intense about it. It's making me sweat.
Hi guys, thank you guys for coming, and I love you guys, and I just wanted to know, what is your theme song? This is for both of you.
Theme song?
Your theme song, your personal theme song.
For personal?
Yeah, everyone has a theme song.
Like if I kick the door in, what song do I want to just all of a sudden play?
It's something that gets you going, that makes you...
It gets
Well, I think
going.
what gets me going is not my theme song.
Well, let's start with your theme song. What is your theme song?
Memories.
Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing. That's a good one. Solid choice.
That is great.
Afternoon Delight.
I mean, same band, separate ways, it's pretty badass. You know what? Going with the same band, Faithfully. You know, I'm not a musician on the road, but I'm on the road a lot and away, and yeah, let's go with that. I like it.
I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna go, speaking of on the road, I'm gonna go On the Road Again by Willie Nelson. I was just doing a lot of driving over the past couple of weeks, and because I was driving to meet the family I'm working in Albuquerque right now, and the family was close enough to drive to, so it was, it was like 4 hours. So I was in the car quite a bit, and there was a lot of Willie being played. There's that Sirius station, Willie's Roadhouse, and so I had that on, and On the Road Again came on several times, and that just, I don't know, something about it. On the road again, there's no way to get on the road again. And, Jared and I, we do travel quite a bit, and obviously the pandemic put a big damper on that, and it made me realize how much I actually do enjoy getting out and seeing this beautiful world of ours, and doing it with friends and family, and so being on the road is something I truly enjoy. So there you go. We'll go with that. That's me. Let's go. Yes, sir, in the back. Got a nice beard on, man. It's all you, pal. It's all you.
And your girl slept during a neck tattoo.
You caught my attention. And there's more hair on your face than your head. No, just stay right there. Just stay right there. Just stay right there. We got a mic coming to you.
Let's
How are you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. So me and my fiance co-own a bakery, and so this question
Of course you do. Awesome.
So
Did you bring us any treats today?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Security. Yeah. All right. Get him out of here.
So we would like to know what would your all's favorite piece of pie be?
Ooh.
You know what? Give him a second. I'm going to go with, I've had this a few times in the last month or two. Nothing like pecan pie. Put some mode on it. A la.
Yeah, he likes a little bit of pecan pie with his ice cream. That's basically
Just the crusty part.
I'm a sucker for it, but a solid, and either or, but a banana cream pie or a coconut cream pie.
Let's hear it for bananas.
Tear that out.
Coconuts. Fair enough. Thank you all very much. I'm going to bring some love over here. What you got?
Okay.
Birthday girl.
Thank you. Well, I'm actually celebrating my belated 50th from 2020.
She's selling her belated 30th, which is 2020.
Awesome. So, and I was on a road trip this summer. I traveled 11,500 miles.
11,000?
11,500 miles, did 24 states. Yeah, and the highlight, yeah.
That's not a road trip, that's like a pilgrimage.
Amazing.
Were you lost?
No, it was planned. It was planned. I've been planning this since 2018.
Okay.
And the highlight of
Have you questioned your planning skills?
The highlight of my trip was supposed to be San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oops.
Again, have you questioned your planning skills?
No. I mean, I now have done all 48 contiguous states.
Wow.
That's cool.
I'm going to be doing Hawaii next year and
You gonna drive there to Hawaii?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, but so I like to bring humor to almost everything I do, and so I'd like to share a joke with you.
Great.
So there are these two little boys, and and they are just, Mom cannot handle them anymore, and Grandma says, I'll take them for a weekend. Great. So Grandma takes them to church, and she takes them to the pastor. The pastor says, do you know where God is? And the boys just get their big eyes and no. And the pastor's going, well, I know this. They have to know. They come to church every Sunday. You know where God is? No, they say. And the pastor's really getting frustrated and he's like, why are they saying no? And he goes, do you know where God is? And the boys run out and they say, Grandma, somebody stole God and they think we did it.
I like it. That was a good one. I was like,
We're going to work on your planning skills and your joke telling skills. You can put that on your to-do list.
It was a little lengthy. That's it for today. Thanks, guys.
I do want to go back and ask what the best pie you guys make in your bakery is. Sorry, I'm still on that.
Yeah, you get to ask the
I haven't
questions.
moved on.
That's not the way this works. We don't ask the questions, man.
Yeah, well, I just have to know now. What is it? Just yell it out. What are you most proud of?
Probably my pumpkin or sweet potato.
Pumpkin?
Which brings
See, I can't say pumpkin because it's not always available. It's a holiday kind of a thing, but I would tear some pumpkin up.
Well, which brings to mind,
I'm gonna need the name of your bakery, sir.
it brings to mind another joke, possibly inappropriate. What do rednecks do on Halloween?
What do rednecks do on Halloween? Oh boy.
I'm not gonna answer it. Let's say you already said the word. I'm not going to repeat it, but it sounds like pumpkin. Too soon? Too early? It's almost noon, guys. Come on. It was quicker than her joke.
That was funny.
She's pulling the knife out of her bag. Come on.
All right.
Don't let me talk.
All right. I'm going far back. You know. Yeah. That's it right there. No. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it. One arm guy. Yeah. One arm. There you go.
All right. You did knuckles.
What?
Well, I guess.
You're welcome.
Well, I guess first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a good question. I hope.
Oh, come on.
What's the best prank you guys have pulled on set to the other actor?
Well, this is a great answer, if I may say so myself. I think, you know, I think we kind of touched on this. We didn't plan pranks often until Misha was directing. And so I think I almost broke his nose. I kind of feel bad about it now, but I didn't at the time. With some pie. Ackles got him with some pie. Yeah, we didn't really plan pranks as much as just kind of try and bring humor to the situation when it called for it.
Yeah, it was more just kind of when opportunity presented itself to do any and everything that we can to mess people's days up. That's what we did. It was largely collaborative. Anytime he saw an opportunity, he would clue me in quickly, and then we would go to town. The Misha situation, there was a list that we had planned that was rather in depth. Well, I wish we'd gotten the script one. That we were planning on having his director's script with all of his notes in it, copied, and then we were going to rip to shreds his script and put it back in the binder.
The fake script.
But have his one standing, but you know, we weren't that bad.
We also had a good plan to do some stuff in his apartment, and we knew where he lived.
Right.
And we figured we could get the keys from his bag, and I found out where to buy mice. I never bought them, unfortunately, because he was savvy to it somehow or another, and so he would leave his keys at the concierge and be like,
With explicit instructions. Not to give it to us.
Do not give them the keys to my apartment. So we had, we were gonna do some stuff, but he outwitted our wits, so to speak.
Yeah, we were supported.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna go pick you. All right.
Hi, my first con problem. You told the story of how you guys met. I have not heard it since in all these other cons that I know of. Can you tell that story for the people?
Of how we met?
Yeah, it was actually at a con, and he came up for an autograph, and I was like,
I mean, when you're trying out for a part.
I was like, can I have your autograph? He was like, yeah, sure, man. Like, Jared Padalecki. Where's Barry Watson? The day we met was the day that we got the roles of Sam and Dean Winchester. It was what's known as the network test. So you have auditions that you do, and this was a while back. So the process is a little different nowadays. Certainly since COVID, we really don't do in-person auditioning anymore, which is sad because there's a lot to be said about that process. It's now all done through people just submit tapes of themselves, and so there's benefits and you know there's pros and cons to that. But back when it was the old style, the original style, we did our auditions. I had gone in separately. They were trying to cast the role of Sam first. They wanted to get Sam, and then they were going to read Dean's. So I went in originally and read for the role of Sam because that's all that they were doing. And I knew this. I was asked actually because I was on Smallville. You were currently on Gilmore Girls at the time. and they were like, let's have. There was a short list of guys that they wanted to come in and read for these roles. So, but they were only doing Sam at that point. So I came in, I read for David Nutter, Eric Kripke, and Peter Johnson. So the folks that were all involved in the beginning of it, and just one time. And then I read it for Sam. I did the Sam stuff, and it was a scene with Dean. And I just remember at the end of that first time I auditioned for these guys, I was like, listen, thanks for the opportunity, but I really want to read the other role. Is that a possibility? And they literally smiled. They were like, we know. I was like, okay. They're like, we're not reading that role yet, but we kind of already know. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So Jared, you did this. I mean, you read the same thing.
I read for Sam, and I big surprise, went with a hoodie and a beanie, and I read, and I thought I did a pretty decent job. And then my manager tells me, I never let people forget it, but Cookie was like, yeah, he did a great job, but we're looking for someone like hyper intelligent, like David Duchovny-esque. And I was like, what? And so my manager called back and was like, listen, Jared was a mathlete in school, like he's a National Merit Scholar, like nerd. But I had been used to playing Dean Forrester on Gilmore Girls, who was supposed to be a little bit more like, hey man, like, what's going on? And so I think I was still early in my... brooding, and that was what he did back in the early 2000s. It was like, however you could do...
That's all people wanted to see was
your labored exhale, or labored inhale, which looks like this. The better you were at the labored inhale, the more likely you were to get cast in certain roles. And so finally my manager called and was like, no, listen, this guy, he's a thing.
I think if you look up labored inhale in the dictionary, it's just a picture of Ian Somerhalder. Just...
But so they ended up going like, okay, like let's bring him back and have him read with the network. And I'd worked with Warner Brothers at the time, both the studio and the network, on Gilmore for 5 years. And so they brought us in, and we're sitting there, and usually it's a big to-do. I mean, it's the 20 most powerful people from the studio and the network all in one room and looking at you. And usually it's like 5 or 6 guys for one role, 5 or 6 guys for the other role in this case. And they'll bring like, oh, can we have Jared and John? And they'll put it back out, and you're all in the room together. It's like, can we have John and Jensen?
Yeah, they'll do chemistry matches.
They'll do chemistry.
So they'll bring in different actors and have them, you know. And
it's usually a multi-hour ordeal.
Oh, yeah.
You're usually like, okay, we're doing our network test at noon. Like,
that's your afternoon.
That's your day. And so we get in there, and we're both in the room. It's like, hey man, Jared, Jensen.
You were already sitting there. I walked in. This was at the WB Ranch, and I walked in and I signed in at the front desk, and I looked, and there was the waiting room. There's just one guy sitting there. It was
big forehead.
Yeah. and I sat down, and audition rooms are interesting. The waiting rooms are very interesting.
You find out a lot about people, like the way they behave in audition rooms.
And it's very telling of kind of personalities and types of actors, and so I mean, but it's where I met a lot of guys and a lot of friends. It's where I met Josh Duhamel. I just ended up doing a movie with him. You know, it's how a lot of relationships were made back then. Which is another thing. It was like, it's sad that doesn't really happen anymore. Because it was also a bit of a mind game. If you walked in and you were sitting there buried in your script and trying to go over your lines or pacing or nervous, and this was something I did. I'd go in, I would never look at him, and I would just strike up conversation like I did not care at all, and it would throw people off. People would be like, does he know something that I know, whatever. It was almost mind games.
Yeah. Jen has a funny story. Sorry, slight non sequitur, but I'll tell you too. When Jen auditioned for Wildfire, she had a network test similar, and she said there were like 5 or 6 girls out for her role. And one girl was in the room that we worked with, and I'll tell you who after, but was talking very loudly in the audition room about how she had just had dinner with the director the prior night, and how they had offered her the role but wanted to see her in person or something. She's totally trying to like get into the other actresses' heads. I'll tell you, you might know, but yeah, so audition rooms can be weird, but
I remember that I used to do this too, like when I'd come, like if I'd go in and I'd do my audition, and then on the way out, I would leave the room and go through the waiting room, just going like, that was awesome. just like laughing like that. I just had the best time. We're like, you guys, it's so good in there. It's so good. They're all gonna love it. They're all like, oh god, just mind games.
Part of the process.
Part of the process. But that was the day we met. Was right then and there. And there was no other actors that were brought in to read for Dean. There were no other actors brought in to read for Sam. They had the two of us come in, read in front of all of the suits, the brass, whatever you want to call them. And
let's go with suits.
Let's go with suits. And they gave us the roles in the room. That was it. They said, "Congratulations, guys. We're gonna hang a franchise on you."
And only two people will tell whether it worked out.
That's true. That's true. Who was the actress?
No, Jensen.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna find out.
I don't want to say something.
All right. How about right there? Yep. Yes.
So I know you guys have had a lot of outtakes on the show.
Yeah.
What would you say your funniest moment or longest outtakes of film scene would be?
I have a few regrets about my time on Supernatural. My honest to God #1 regret about Supernatural is that we weren't labeled producers. We did a lot of things that producers do, but if we were labeled producers, then I think from day one, all of our outtakes would be like, print that, print that. Because as many outtakes and gag reels as there were, 5x or 6x more that just didn't get printed, that were hilarious. I think, for whatever reason, the one that is occurring to me right now is Jeffrey D. Morgan getting hit in the balls. I mean, what are the chances, To go, it's a weird reaction. So that one for sure, you can't ignore, Hall of Famer, Eye of the Tiger. So that's in there. And then another one that's occurring to me is, I think, ironically, Misha was probably correct, and we were probably incorrect, but when he was doing this Castile thing, and like, we need to go to Colorado, we were like, we were making fun of the way he said Colorado. We're like, where? So, those three.
There's people in here going like, that's how you say it. I don't know. What's the problem? There were lots of, I've been driving lately, I've started listening to some of the Space Rob podcast about it. And I was just kind of flipping through a few of them and, little trips down memory lane. And I got to, Taylor Cole did one. And she talked about Providence, the episode. And I think it was the first season.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, there was a day that the three of us were doing a scene, and she talked about it in the podcast, that something happened and got the giggles, and literally couldn't reel it in. You were gone. She was in tears. I was rolling my eyes. But it was so bad that literally we had to take a 15-minute break. Everybody, the entire crew, walked off set, and it was just like we had to shake it off because that's how bad it was. That's how much fun we were having on the set, and that's how much fun we literally continue to have for the next 14 years. So, but I still think there should be like a 30-hour release of outtakes and scenes gone wrong, because there's plenty of footage.
Yeah.
It is pretty awesome. It's good to have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to go way far left, unless you're just waving. Yes.
I finally found a CD of that Covers with Friends album that you made with Jason Mann.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to all of to the entire CD, but your rendition of Simple Man, where you were going to do it with Jason Mann, I listened to it, and then I compared it to the Leonard Skinner original.
Mm-hmm.
Your rendition is more gentle, more quiet. And when you think about it, it's about a important life's advice to her Jensen would want an intimate rendition of it as opposed to having it being blared out by a rock band. I actually prefer your rendition.
Well,
so I
And maybe we can get you to get up on stage
Shut your
some
mouth.
Saturday.
Shut your
And do it again.
He was just saying maybe we can try to get me to do it, but yeah, no, go hide. Well, thank you, sir. That's very nice of you. That came about. Some of you know the story, but Jason was like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" Because I had agreed to do a track on that cover album, and we didn't have anything picked out, and he was sitting there. We were in my apartment in Vancouver. He'd come up for some reason, maybe it was a con or something. And I was sitting there and I had a guitar in hand and I was just kind of picking on it. And that song is really just 3 chords. So I was kind of playing that song while trying to think of what we were gonna do. And he was like, well, what is that? What are you playing? I was like, oh, it's a Skinner song. And he was like, well, sing it. And so I just, in the key that I was doing it in, it just didn't, and in that little, we were just in the living room and sitting on the couch, and didn't necessarily lend itself to being the rock version of that. And I just kind of started singing an acoustic version of it, and Jason was like, boom, that's it, that's what we're doing. I'm like, well, that was easy. So, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, all right. Let's go back there, back. Standing up, I think you got a Soldier Boy shirt on. So. You got me there.
First off, my family's from Garland, so I'm representing.
Garland, Texas.
Garland, Texas.
Yeah. We almost moved to Garland. My dad's job.
That was awesome.
I spent a lot of time in Garland. My grandparents lived in Garland, and I was over there quite often. Fun fact for you: if you ever watched King of the Hill, that takes place in Arlen, Texas, which all they did was just take the G off.
So y'all have been acting for a long time. And I feel like every actor has a method to, remembering lines and actually performing it. Is there a part of y'all's method that you've kept throughout the years and a part that you've drastically changed?
Good question. Jurassically, like the
Jurassic. Drastically changed. Is there a part that you have?
Velociraptor
Dinosaur changed.
Yeah, have y'all seen that? Sorry, have y'all seen the meme of the end of Jurassic Park and it's the T-Rex and it's like, ah, and it goes, yeah. Sorry.
Alright, now I'm small, but I'm feisty.
My kids are watching. My method has been the same since Gilmore Girls, honestly. I will get majority, so my thing is, I don't really memorize lines as much as I go through the script over and over and over again, until it feels like a song on the radio that you can sing along with, even though you don't know who the artist is, what the song's called. It's like it's so in my head, and so I get up in the morning and I'll get on the treadmill or the elliptical or something, and I'll just sit there and I'll read the script. And then I'll go back to the front and read it again. Then I'll go back to the front, read it again. And I just try and read the script in as many different kind of circumstances as I can, because sometimes, it's the end of the night, you're tired, and you're like, I'm gonna go through my dialogue, and something occurs to you because you're tired that didn't occur to you when you were wide awake. So I'll be in the car with Cliffy, or I'll be on a plane somewhere, or I'll be sitting down on the couch and the kids are watching a movie, or, after a glass of wine, and you're like, everything kind of, I liken it to kind of the artistic version of, let's say you live here and work is there, and there's an easy way to get there, but I try and go this way, then I try and go that way, and then I try and go around. And so I know how to get to work, but if something happens, if there's an accident on the road or too much traffic, I know how to dance around, because you never really know what somebody else is going to do, and so you have to be able to bob and weave. And so I just try and get the dialogue in my head as much as I can, and then get to the set and forget everything I did and just go with instinct. Honestly, because it plays out. It's like I've done this 100 times. So, yeah.
I used to do that, and then I just got lazy. So I don't do that anymore. No, I actually, what he does is largely different than what I do. I read the script once. I read it very, very, very slowly, And I guess, I mean, to be fair, I'll reread a scene a couple of times until I have a really good idea of how that scene should be played or how I feel like it looks in my head and how the character is behaving and interacting. And then I'll move on and continue reading the script. And then once I get through it, I really won't look at it until I'll look at it, the material that I'm doing for the next day, I'll look at it the night before. And again, I'll read through it, remember how it had impacted me the first time I read it, instinctually go, okay, well, this is kind of the idea that I think I want to do for this particular scene. But again, I have not memorized anything at this point. Then the day of, we'll go and we'll block it out. And we'll figure out where we want to be on the set in relation to the other characters, in relation to the furniture, in relation to whatever. And that's when the words start to really lock in, because I'm marrying them to my physical space, which is, I don't think, normal. So seriously, like, I'd be like, oh, when I move over to this side of the room, that's this part of the scene, and that's this dialogue. And then when I move over to this, that's when I pick up this thing. It triggers that line. So it's weird. I marry it all to spatially, and then when we come back to shoot, like, I know the words now, and this is something he gets there a much different way of being. This is the biggest thing I tell, like, you know, young actors or actors. Like, do you have any advice? You always want to be emotionally available on in a scene. So if somebody's bringing something that you hadn't thought of, which if any good actor would, you want to be available to react properly to that. You don't want to just have all the dialogue and the lines locked in and deliver them the same way every single take, no matter what the other actor's doing. You want to be able to have chemistry and react to what they're doing. And I think that's being available creatively and not being overly rehearsed. So
on that note, well, I wouldn't recommend that for young actors or actresses because it's a very difficult way to do it. But obviously, he's a black belt in acting, so he can do that, you know. But my pet peeve with scripts is when there's stage direction, like Sam cries, or Dean breaks down, or chokes up, or something. I'm like, well, maybe they don't. Maybe when they get there in the moment, and
it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right because there were several scenes in Supernatural where it didn't say any bit of, like, they tear up. And we would do the scene and be like, geez, I didn't expect to tear up. But you just go with it. So, like we were saying, being emotionally available. So I hate when emotions are written. It's like, if you trust your actors and actresses, then write the dialogue, trust that they'll map it out, and trust that they'll be available to do whatever happens on the day.
And that's the good stuff, too. When we would, you know, when there were things that would surprise us within the scene, the nuance of the scene and the nuance of the relationship or the dialogue, we would find it. And that was something that I can't tell you how much I love being a part of that with him, because he and I would find that so quickly, and we would find it so much that it would literally surprise us. We'd be like, oh, dude, that was a nice take. Where'd that come from? And that, I mean, it's like playing a sport with somebody, with playing tennis with somebody, or playing basketball, and it's like, man, that was the perfect pass, that was the perfect shot, that lined up beautifully. Had no idea it was going to go like that, but man, score.
Speaking of score,
what?
I think that's the score for this movie.
Is that the score?
I believe so. I think so. I'm seeing people looking. Are we okay? I'm getting.
The game's over.
They're threatening to chop our heads off.
Okay, that was the buzzer. That was the buzzer beater.
That was the buzzer beater.
Thanks, guys, for being here.